Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today is gonna be my budgeting journey video. I really wanted to share with you guys how I started, why I started, how it's going, and literally show you that literally you can start with anything, but the point is to honestly just start. Like, I see a lot of videos and a lot of questions that people ask are, how do I start? I don't know what to do. Do I need to buy all these binders? Do I need to do all these envelopes? Yada, yada, yada. How do I start? And I do think that this video isn't going to really show you everything, like answer all those questions. It's going to show you how I started, and I'll probably give a little tips, advice here on what I think. Maybe if you have any more questions on any other videos you might want to watch, just put them down in the comments and I will try to do more videos on this kind of stuff. Here you go. Here are all 4 of my binders. I am now at a point where I'm obsessed with the cash budgeting system. I'm obsessed with cash envelopes. I'm obsessed with all of this. Honestly, I've been obsessed for a very long time with this stuff. There's a lot to go through. I'm gonna try my best to be as articulate and as chronological as I can. So let's go ahead and start from the beginning. So let's get rid of all this. And I'm gonna show you how I actually started. Here we go. This is my the original cash stuffing binder for me. This was a dollar store little pocket, like it had dividers, but I ripped out the dividers because I didn't need them. So I just kept this little pocket thing. As you can see, it's beaten up because I actually keep it and I stuffed a lot of crap in there. And here we go. Don't laugh at my envelopes, guys. These were the first original envelopes I ever owned or made myself, actually. I've been DIYing since the beginning of time. So here you go. These are my original envelopes. I don't think they're in order, but as you can see, I had car gas, credit card, because you know you gotta pay that credit card. I did have all of my bills right here. I did do all of my bills, but now I don't because I do it more electronically, but we'll get to that. My health bill, extra money. I've always had the extra money envelope, guys. Always. There goes rent, my car payment, my dental plan, phone bill, cable, my gas bill, my dogs. So I did these all by myself. I actually think I still have the original packet of paper that I used to make these, and I just stuffed them right here, and that's how I did it. So now to show you how I actually started dividing my categories. So how I started actually doing my cash breakdowns, where I wrote down what I'm paying for that week in rent, for groceries, yada yada yada. I didn't know those little budget sheets existed. I didn't know about any of that stuff. So what I actually started with, little notebooks. I did everything. Obviously, I did not have the money at the time to have an iPad. So I bought these little notebooks. I think I got them for $5. It was actually a set of 3. I think from Walmart or Target. I honestly don't know. Actually, all 3 of these had a purpose. So let me show you what I did. This one was my cash breakdown, where I wrote down all my bills and everything that I wanted to stuff. This one was my savings tracker. I think I ripped out the sheets, or I actually never did anything in. Oh yes, I did. I could see the prints. Savings right there. So if I added something, if I took something out, that is where I wrote down everything. This one was my checking account tracker. As you can see, look, 2018, there you go. I have all of that written down. Like, that's the type of person I was. I didn't make it far because I felt like it got really tedious. So here goes what I was doing. I think I ripped out all the sheets. I don't know why, but as you can see, here you go. This was my original sheet, where how much I wanted to put a month or a week or whatever. Can you believe I used to put $25 for gas each week? What is that? Now I put $45. And here was each week. See, week of 2019, all of that stuff, my bills, everything, toiletries. Then I would estimate how much my husband was getting paid. Back then, I used my credit card a lot. I was very, very reckless. So each week there was like a $300 credit card payment. So I actually want to show you how I decided all of that stuff. So what I started off with was $2, I don't know how much this was, little calendar or $5 calendar from Target. I got this at the little dollar spot. So each month I would write out all my bills, and I would make sure that each bill was, I had all the money for that bill the week before it was due. So my insurance money, it was due this week. So then I would start off, I split everything up into 4 weeks, because I didn't want to do the whole, oh, this week there's 5 weeks, this week's there's 4 weeks. So I was just like, each bill split into 4 weeks. I would always write them down in one column. So my insurance was 110 at the time. So these previous 4 weeks, it was split up. So insurance 1 week was 25, 27, 27, 29. So that's how I did it for a long time. And actually I still have this exact same method for my bills, which my bills have just gotten more expensive, or I've added onto bills, but that's literally how I did everything. That's how I started off. But then instead of these little books, I ended with this. I had a bigger book. I had a bit more bills. I tried to get more organized. So I found this at Home Goods, this Central Perk book, because once again, I'm obsessed with Friends. So then this is how it started as. My first one was January, the first week of January. As you can see, very little stuff. Always had notes for myself that if I needed to send money places. And then as you can see, things started to get bigger. There you go, bigger. Because my husband gets paid so weird, I had to change a lot of stuff up. I started to add more envelopes and everything. There you go, started to get more intense. And then eventually I kind of stopped doing it. I didn't even make it through the rest of the year. I had already planned out everything. But I want to stop and pause for a second. My trackers for how I did my bills and how I wrote everything out kind of escalated. So that was the next little binder. And then I started to get it a lot into bullet journaling. And so I bought this Amanda Rach Lee book. And so this is where I started to write everything down, like my bill stuff. So as you can see, there you go, all my bills. Lots of bills. I actually wrote down like a lot of subscriptions or whatever. See, there goes my bills. Then this month, here were my bills. So this is where I actually started to really like a note section, because I hated writing it down on the actual calendar. So then this was actually called notes. So instead I just scribbled that out and wrote bills, because now I could categorize my bills. My bullet journals were my tax information. I am a very visual person. I write everything down. And then here goes May, and it keeps going on and on and on, you know, all that good stuff. Eventually that year, I actually made myself a digital planner. I'm going on based on how I escalated how I write my bills out and everything. So now I have my own bill, I created my own budget planner, and I'm obsessed with it, because actually in 2021, that's when I started doing my, it was actually at the end of 2020. So in 2021, that's when I actually discovered digital planners. And I believe it was in October that I actually bought this specifically for school. I didn't keep it for my bills or anything, but I was like, oh my gosh, I love this so much. So then in 2021, I actually bought a digital planner specifically for my budgeting stuff. So I started to put all my weekly bills and everything, and eventually, since I do have roommates, I had to start writing down when they would pay their bills so I could keep it all in track. There you go, all of my bills. There goes February. And then I didn't at that time, this was not a budget planner, so that's why these weren't like broken down into each week and stuff like that with my sinking funds, because that's why I had this. I would write it all down and then add the rest of my stuff. But then I created my own personal budget planner. So for 2022, so as you can see, there go all my bills, everything laid out. But then when I go on the week, I had my trackers, I had everything that I could write down. And then after that, I had my sinking fund breakdowns where I could decide the total amounts and everything. So this is what I created for myself. As you can see, there it goes. This is a better one, as you can see right there. So I have went from a lot of like bill trackers, like writing things down or just doing it digitally. Like I said before, I actually did start with putting all my bills in envelopes. So let me go ahead and show you actually how my envelope system kind of developed. So there goes all my trackers, like my calendars, how I wrote everything out. That's how I started off. That was my escalation from little bitty notebooks to a bigger notebooks to having the calendars and notebooks and mixing everything together. So now, as you saw, these were my original envelopes. Not the greatest, not gonna lie. So these were my original ones, but then I eventually was like, I want cuter ones. So then I actually got this like little mini binder. It's like, I don't know, one of those 5x7-ish kind of binders. And then I found an envelope template online and I made myself little envelopes. Here they go. There's new ones in here because I changed them. I'll talk about that in a second. So here they go. I had a check-in one. I had a car detailing one, which is when I wanted to clean my car, home, medical bills, clothes, YouTube, because I wanted to buy stuff for YouTube, car insurance. This one had all my bills and like other like sinking funds and stuff like that. So this is how I started. I had a travel one, like vacation. You know, I got all these papers from Joann's and I made myself envelopes. And these worked for a very long time. Like, I think this was what I actually had before I went to my newer ones. So let me show you those. So now the ones that I have are the ones that you see in my videos, which are these, because I got introduced to this budgeting community, this budgeting world that I'm completely obsessed with. I started off, well, I didn't start off with these, one second. I started off with those basic envelopes, these that you can buy on Amazon. I purchased this myself. There are a lot of small businesses that do that, but it's not that I'm cheap. It's just that I like making stuff myself. You've seen, I've literally made everything. I never saw anyone have those kind of envelopes and I made them myself. I knew people had envelopes, but they weren't those specific kind. And I'm like, okay, I need to find different envelope designs. And then I went on TikTok, YouTube, and the budget community kind of blew up for me. So then this is what I bought myself. I have a lot of envelopes. I actually still have a bunch of them right here. As you can see, like I have so many of them because I bought so many, but then I wanted to change up some of my envelopes and make myself new ones because I saw people had these kind of designs, like the little peekaboo ones. And so I've updated them. I enjoy every part of my envelope process. So I'm very happy about this because I never used to show you all how I did my bills because I did everything electronically. So then I did create new envelopes, the same ones like these, but I did them in newer paper. As you can see, this is way more meme now. And I made myself little labels instead of writing it out. Because I also have an Etsy shop. So I do have a lot more stuff. So when I did show you all my bills, I did have all the money here in this same envelope, in this same binder, because I didn't want to use more of those binders because I like to use stuff that I already have. So this is how this is. But I will say, like I said, I do a lot of cash stuffings, but I also do a lot of digital stuff because all my bills are honestly paid online, and I found it kind of tedious to have to cash stuff this, then to go deposit that, and it was a lot of work, honestly. But I had started to do all my bills digitally probably 2 years ago, because it just wasn't working for me anymore to have it all in cash. So let me show you actually how. I think I have it here when I started. So right here, I started actually putting everything online in 2020. It was very basic. I had to learn how to do all of this, how to add everything up. So I did this spreadsheet on Google and I wrote out all my bills and a bunch of, as you can see, I used to do groceries. I used to do everything online. But then I'm like, I was just not happy with how much I was spending. I couldn't keep up with my grocery stuff. I did not like having everything online. So eventually I just went to only bills. So then I added categories where I had to do cash exchanges for, like my 52-week challenge, medical bills, Christmas, where I don't need $1,000 in there because it's not something I'm going to use immediately. So that's what I started doing. And as you can see, I had 2021, 2020, and now 2022. I do all my bills online because it helps me keep track of it. So that is actually my whole budgeting journey. So the reason I even started it was because I think the first person I saw was the budget mom doing all of this stuff. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know you could actually save for these certain categories or put this aside for this kind of thing. I honestly only watched like a couple of her videos, and then that's when I made my envelopes. And then after that, I just started to be like, yeah, I need to start saving for clothes, because I would just be spending money here and there without having a care in the world. Eventually, my husband started to get better jobs and our financial status changed, I guess, like where we were. And so then I got my first credit card and things kind of went downhill from there. And then eventually I did everything electronically, and somehow that kind of ruined it for me, because like I said, you're just swiping your card and you don't know how much money you have. And so I just was swiping, having so much credit card debt. I felt like we would pay it off and then immediately the next bill was another $600 because I just wasn't not keeping track of it. I was just spending money. Even though I had my envelopes, I had my categories, I was just spending money like crazy. And then COVID hit, and so things kind of changed. And then I got introduced to this whole new aspect of it, and I thoroughly enjoy where I am right now. Like, yes, I probably make twice as much money as I did when I first started a long time ago. But now, because of this whole system, I have learned so much about savings, about where to put all my money. I know I probably didn't answer a lot of questions. I tried to go through how I evolved into where I am now, and I hope you could see like where I started and where I am now, because before I could not overcome the $1,000 mark in my savings account. We would save $1,000, but then somehow something would happen where we needed to take out a bunch of money and we didn't have an emergency fund. We didn't have a closed envelope. We didn't have like a medical envelope. We had to pull it out all from our savings account because we owed a bunch of money to our credit cards and we had like $200 to our name in our checking account. I am so happy with how I've evolved, how I budget, how I do things from paper to now my iPad. Trust me, I miss doing everything paper. I loved writing everything out, but the way my schedule works right now, I just don't actually have the time to handwrite every single thing. So now everything's digitally for me for now, but my cash stuffing is, everything is in cash. Honestly, you see my cash stuffings, you see what I'm doing. And the way I view cash stuffing is, because a lot of people say, oh, these are mini savings, you know, like, oh, I'm just saving for vacation, for medical, for my hair that I'm gonna do or something, you know. But I have a lot of my categories because I want to have a set budget, and so when the time comes that I want to pull money out, I have that money there. I'm not being like, I'm not gonna spend any of this money until I reach this goal, because I'm telling you, I'm gonna be miserable. I'm sorry. I like to shop, I like to spend money, I like to buy things. So that's why a lot of my binders are set up that way, where I have a high priority one that honestly I never count with you guys, because I just constantly am going in and spending money from it. Like example, my fun envelope. This is something that I do because I spend a lot of time with my family, and that's not something I'm saving each week for or something. Like each week I do add a certain amount of money, and if I don't have the money, I tell them like, oh, I can't do it this week, or I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just dip into next week's amount. So it's like a lot that has changed over the years on how I budget and everything. But honestly, the way I do everything now feels so much better. If you watched my previous cash stuffing, I reached my $6,000 mark in my savings account, and that is such a tremendous feeling when I couldn't even go over 1,000. But now I have $6,000 in my savings account. I have almost $1,000 in an emergency fund, and I have a bunch of envelopes that I don't probably even need in my emergency fund or my savings account if I want to go spend money. And I have completed several savings challenges so I can finish paying off debts, so I can have a good time. If I tell my husband, take a week off, let's just spend time together, and we're like, okay, we can do this because we've worked hard to save this money, and we're at a good place where we don't have to worry about bills this week because they are covered with the money that we've already saved. So I know that my journey and what I've done is not going to be the same as yours. Maybe you're starting off and you have like $0. You have like $50 in order to cash stuff, but I believe that you can start somewhere. Start off with making your own little envelopes. Go to the dollar store and buy the white envelopes. You don't need fancy stuff. You don't need to buy these binders. Like I said, this thing right here is from the dollar store. Buy yourself white envelopes. Keep it in the box. You don't have to buy something like this. Buy a little dollar calendar. Buy a little dollar little notebook. Write down all your bills. I know that a lot of people say, look at your past expenses. Honestly, I never did that. I never looked at my past expenses because honestly, in a way, you know how much you need to survive. You know how much money you need to buy groceries. Maybe 1 week, instead of being like, I'm just gonna buy all the groceries that I want, even though you know you're like, man, I spend so much money on groceries. When you go grocery shopping, think about what you're actually buying. I actually started meal planning a long time ago. So like not meal planning where I'm like, okay, Monday through Friday, this is what I'm going to eat and all that stuff. But I started to really think, what am I going to eat this week? And what am I going to have that will literally make sure that I can eat every single day? Like, if that makes sense. Because I was like, I cannot spend $200 a week on groceries if I'm just one person or two people. I could not do that. And I realized that I just bought a bunch of nonsense food that would go to waste, or I'd buy a bunch of protein and I would just end up eating out. So now I do it a lot differently, and there's a lot that goes into that. But like I said, you know how much money you need in order to go grocery shopping. You know how much money fills your gas tank. You know how much money you could possibly use each week if you wanted to buy yourself a little something. And there's another thing that if you're starting off and you feel like you have no money after bills, I know a lot of people say, stop going to Starbucks, stop end all of your subscriptions. I don't believe in that. I believe that you need some sort of form of happiness in your life. But if you're happy with just YouTube, which is free, or if you're happy with just Pandora, Spotify with your ads on it because it's free, like there's so much stuff. Rent movies, go to Redbox, rent movies on Amazon Prime. You don't actually need an account to rent movies on there. But I honestly have never canceled all of my subscriptions, even when I was like, dang, I don't have money right now to pay for these. I never canceled them because that's what made me happy. What makes you happy, if you're okay with canceling on your subscriptions, but you're like, dang, I really need my Starbucks coffee every single morning, cancel all your subscriptions, but keep your money for your Starbucks coffee. Because if you're miserable, but you're saving money, you're not going to enjoy the process and you're going to stop. It's the same thing as losing weight. You're like, I'm not going to eat carbs. I'm not going to eat any of these bad foods. You're miserable because all you're eating is chicken and rice. Maybe the foods you're eating are terrific and they're healthy. But if you really love ice cream and you like cold turkey cut that off, you're going to be sad. You're going to want it really bad. And then you're going to go eat an entire tub of ice cream. That's how I feel when it comes to savings, cash budgeting, and even dieting. Don't cut everything that you love out. This is a learning process. This is not it's going to fix everything in 1 week. It would take trial and error, like you're going to be like, okay, this week I'm only going to spend $100 on groceries. And if you go to the grocery store and you're like, damn, I don't think $100 was enough. Maybe add $120 or like add $20 to make it $120. But everything is a learning process. Don't go so hard on yourself. Start one little savings challenge. Start a savings challenge, like a 52-week challenge if you want. Start the emergency fund challenge. Maybe the emergency fund challenge is one that you 100% need. 52-week challenge, that can wait. But having money set aside for emergencies, that is a huge thing because, dude, life is crazy right now and we need money for those moments. One other thing that I also developed, because before I never knew how much money do I put in savings. What do? I learned to put 10% of your income into savings, and trust me when I tell you, that has helped me save $3,000 within the past 8 months because I did that. Before, I would save like $1,000, $1,500 a year because I would just be like, okay, this is the only amount I can afford because I have so many sinking funds that I want to add to. I have to put my grocery money, but then I'm like, no, if I don't have savings, why do I get to put $100 into clothes, $100 into personal? Like, no, I need to save money. So I put savings and money first. Right after pay my bills, I took out 10% of that check, put it into savings. Then my sinking funds would get the rest. My savings were the #1 priority besides debt. So that's just how I've been doing things. I have gone through a lot. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you have any other topics you want me to talk about in a video. I know this was a lot. I hope I was able to edit it down a little bit. But let me know, like I said, if you have any questions. I have enjoyed every single step of this process. You have no idea. Everything about this, I've just enjoyed. Even when I didn't have money, I enjoyed writing down each one of my bills and seeing my bank account just go down and down and down after all my bills. But I loved every second. I know it's not going to be the same for everybody because bills and life is expensive and it's stressful. I understand, but just take it one day at a time, 1 week at a time, one paycheck at a time. Don't think about the next paycheck. Just think about the one that you're getting right now. Like I said, buy those $1 cheap little envelopes, $1 little cheap little calendar, $1 little notebook so you can break everything down. You don't need to spend $50 to $100 to start budgeting. Just start with what you have. Start with an already copy paper that you have at home. Everything, just if you have this stuff at home, use that. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. I hope I did okay with this video. Like I said, once again, if you have any questions, let me know down below. I would be happy to answer any of those questions. So yeah, subscribe if you haven't already so we can keep talking about this good stuff. Let me know any other budgeting videos that you want to see, and I will see you in my next video.